Hey FlossTube, it's Leigh here from Creative Leigh on Tuesday the 4th of January 2022 with my second bonus video for the week, a what's kitted up parade, my kit parade. A lot of these kits I've kitted up over the last 6 or 9 months in preparation for an endeavour that I start on the 18th of January where I'm going to I'm going to start 50 projects over 50 weeks. On the 18th I turn 50, and then on average I'll be doing one start a week for the rest of the year. And I say on average because there may be weeks where I do 2 and I have to miss due to shenanigans, but that's the plan. The things I'm going to show you is what I've got kitted up now that they aren't necessarily going to be all in that 50 at 50. There'll be periods during the year I'm going to ask you, my community, to make some decisions for me, or to vote, or to, I don't know, advise, tell me what you want to see. Also, new stuff is going to come in over the next little while. I already have, 20 projects that are partially kitted. Either I've got fabric or floss and need to just pull the rest together. So yeah, as I show you through fabric, just know that between now and when I stitch on this thing, fabric and or floss might change. I have pulled projects together with what I have a lot of the time, especially where I've done conversions, and I've picked from the materials that are available to me, but I do still belong to the Silks For You Floss Club, the Tom and Lily Floss Club, and the Rainbow Club from Country Stitch. So I have, it's a fabric club, so I have 3 regular sources of sometimes mystery, often mystery materials coming in. And when I go to stitch something, if a new, different shade of green or some other alternatives for some tans or orange have come in, I may swap. So let's get on with it. I'm going to try and get through this pile of stuff. It's in no particular order. Literally a big box here with the full-size charts and a pile on the table with the half-size charts. And I do have a decision I'm going to ask the community near the end to, once I show you a couple of options for one chart, I'll ask you to vote in the comments, and that will help me decide which colourway to go with for one of the things I've kitted up. Anyway, let's get cracking. First up, I've got Frederick and Frederica, so I guess two potential starts from Carriage House Samplings. They're a companion pair. I'm going to stitch them both on 40 count drifting sands from Country Stitch, and I'm going to use the called for DMC. I've just got that all pulled. A lot of this DMC is from my stash, from floss that's been racked to me from Gail and my friend Tracy, and just sometimes things I've bought too much of. So that are the first 2. I'm not keeping count. I know that I've got 51 or 52 on the table. So next up, I've got also Carriage House Samplings, the Mermaid Sampler. Last time I showed this, I had said I might stitch it with some overdyes from my stash, but there are too many sort of shades of a number of colours that I just couldn't make work. So I've just pulled the DMC for that, the call from DMC. And I've got, as per last time I showed this, I've got a scrap of 40 count oyster from Country Stitch, and just the call for, I love this muted palette. It's going to be pretty. It should be quite a quick stitch, although that bottom half of it is full coverage, but that's okay. Next up, I've got Griffins of the Kingdom from Rosewood Manor. I love this. I think this came out at Needlework Expo this year. I have just the called for, everything's called for, so I've got the 32 count antique white linen, and the sparklies, the petite treasure braid, and just some DMC. Next up we've got the, what's it called? 2020 Pandemic Sampler from Sassy Girl. And I have pulled, I've got a piece of 40 count walnut from Country Stitch. You're going to see a lot of Country Stitch fabrics, that she's our local dyer. And pulled my own flosses. Some of the called for DMC, and I've got a couple of fancy flosses in there, a couple of Victorian motto. So my border's going to be a lot brighter, slightly brighter anyway. But I think that's going to be fun. I've got a couple of different green options in there because I think the called for is in the 500s and it will probably blend in with this fabric. So I'll probably go, yeah, probably pick a different blue, different green when I get to the greens. But here we are. A sweet little chart from Park Copperbat La Musique, and this is on a scrap of, this will be on the scrap of 32 count platinum, and with one of my many Victorian Motto Sampler Shop reds. I think I've picked antique red for that. So it'll be a quick little stitch. Next up, Carolyn Manning design, Gingerbread Village. It's about as Christmassy as I get. I've stitched the fairy square. I really like these little stitches, and eventually I'll do all 4 or 5 of them and make them into cushions for my spare room. These ones I'm stitching on 28 count Lugana, these cushions, because they're, so I've got this as in Forget Me Not from Country Stitch, and I'll just be using the call for DMC. Another small one, the Scottish Garden from Stone Street Stitch Works. I think this is just charming. I'm going to be stitching this on 36 count tussock with the called for DMC, and instead of grasshopper, no, I don't think it's grasshopper, there's a colour that's in the roof and stuff which I'm going to use, Victorian Motto Autumn Dark Brown. So just a really simple palette, that's going to be lovely. Another small one came out of the box, Morning Star from Blackbird Designs. This chart was gifted to me by Sian, and I've pulled another scrap of 40 count oyster, and I've got 4 Tom and Lily threads that I'm going to use. I've got way more than I need, but it's going to look really cute. Here's the one that I've kitted up this morning, so you haven't seen this one. It's the Tempting Tangle. Bought this chart a little while ago when they were on sale. The Long Way Home. I'm going to stitch this on 36 count Arctic Glacier linen. I don't want to take it out of the bag, I'm sorry. So 36 count Arctic Glacier linen, they've spelt Arctic wrong, on Seraphim Fabrics. I picked this up from Needlewood Expo and then paid a fortune for shipping. And I'm using my own threads from my stash, just from mostly silks for you. These big skeins were gifted to me by Barb. Thank you again, Barb. They were a rack. And some are from my Silks Club. That one's another Silks for you. And then I've got a little nugget from Yamir at Almond M&M's. So that's going to look interesting on that. But yeah, just basically having fun with it. A big one, Teresa Wentzler Carousel Horse. I've chosen to do fall. I'll start this on first day of autumn. And so I've got everything called for. So I've got 32 count cream linen, and I've got everything boxed up. I've even got all the blends pulled. Here's one, like 327 and 221. So that's how I do my blends. It's all ready to go. Next up I've got the Scarlet House, A Perfect World, and for this I've pulled a Victorian Motto Sampler Shop. It's just 36 count neutral. Nope, 36 count natural. And the threads are a combination of DMC and over dyes. Probably most of it is charted, but just a couple of conversions where I didn't have the right colour or didn't order it, so it's probably 80% called for and some slight variations, but yeah, I love this. Can't wait to do it. Here's one I'm very excited to start. Kind of looks springy, so I might make this a spring start, so I'll write that down. Gosh, but spring's so far away, but that's okay. So Rachel Holmes by Hutt String Samplery Design by Beth Twist. Let me get that picture up there so you can see it. And it's not a repro, it's just in the style of, you know, known samplers. It's got lots of specialty stitches. And it was charted all for Weeks Dye Works, but I've just made my own conversion in silks from my stash, mostly silks for you. I think all silks for you. Don't quote me, there might, I think it's all silks for you, and I think it's gonna be pretty. And the fabric that I've got is 32 count light mocha from, I wrote Weeks Dye Works, but is it? I haven't overlocked that one. I've just, I know it's 32 count light mocha. It might be from Weeks Dye Works, I'm not sure. Not sure when I would have got that. So I think that's going to look great. You know, I'm so excited to stitch that in spring. Okay, this one I'm going to have to be really drunk to start, but it's the companion to one of my 2021 finishes, the Antique Repeat Motif Border Sampler from My Treasure Island, I think, on Etsy. So I've stitched this one this year, which is going to be made into a drum. I'm sorry, that one last year. And then I want to stitch the companion piece. The problem with it is it's on this horrible fabric that I hate. This is 16 count gilded opal from Mystic Fabrics. It's beautiful and it sparkles. I love the colour, but it's like stitching on a sack, so I hate the fabric. But I will stitch that other piece one day. So this is low likelihood of actually being started next year. We shall see. I might feel like something that's really bright. The colours, I did a partial conversion. A couple of these are different. These 3 colours I changed. These are not called for. The browns and black are, and I think the teal. So it's sort of the colours. But anyway, watch the previous video of my finished bread. You can see what the other piece looks like. A winter start's going to be the Winter Garden by Drawn Thread. Again, I have all 4 of these charts, but I'm only going to start one of them next year. And I will be doing all the called for. So I have the called for fabric, which is 32 count smoky pearl linen, and I've got all of the called for silks. I showed them in my floss tube video on Sunday. Next up, another one that I'm excited to start, but I probably won't start it until, I don't know, it might actually be a winter one because that tree's bare, so I might do this one in winter. So it's Nevermore by Leela's Studio. Yes, a terrible printout because I was low on ink, PDF, and I'm going to do this on 36 count silver birch, so I'm going a little bit different from the called for. And from Country Stitch, and I have a combination of called for, own threads, DMC, variation, over dyes, DMC, mixed stuff up. So I'm looking forward to getting that started. It's going to be nice and dark and moody. For the variegated thread, this is a, what is it called for? Thread Gatherer Silken Colours. Slug Bug. Instead of that, I'm either going to use this floss, Needle Necessities 129. I'm edging towards that to give it a bit of warmth. Or I've got Threadworks Rustic Brown Cherry, which is a more brownie, probably, I'm edging towards this one because I think it's going to give it some real funkiness. This next one is one you haven't seen kitted up before. I just cut it up yesterday. And I've seen Christine, my friend in Dunedin, stitched it, and it was amazing. So she told me where to find the design, It's from Doreen Jones Designs Facebook page. It's called Mandala Outline. Now, most of Doreen Jones' charts are not my cup of tea. They're a little bit too cutesy for me, but this is amazing. And having seen it stitched up, Christine did a fantastic job. So I've pulled, basically I went looking for floss. What floss did I have plenty of that I could stitch it with? And ages ago, I put through an order with Nina's Threads in Hungary, I think, and I used some threads on my Halloween Quaker by Leela's Studio. And because I was putting through an order through and paying for shipping, I ordered some other stuff. And there was this floss called Dragonfly, which I just loved, how it went from this blue, you know, opposite to these caramelly yellows. I'm not really showing it at all well. So I've got 3 skeins of it, which is plenty. And I had a scrap of haystack. I cut haystack up for another project. So I've got 40 count haystack from Country Stitch with this dragonfly. So I can do it with 1 strand. And I think it's going to look stunning. So that's something new that you haven't seen before. Another Stone Street Stitch Works, the hardest shop name to say, the Frances Sweet Love 1827 reproduction sampler, which I showed her a few weeks ago. This is kitted up with 40 count oyster. So this is the reason I bought 40 count oyster, and then you know, once you cut it off, you can use it on other projects. So 40 count oyster. And I've got a couple of skeins of Okefenokee, which I just love saying that name. I've got some onyx from Gentle Arts, and I've also got this sapphire from Tom and Lily. So I'm going to use 2 or 3 of those depending on how I go. The chart, this reproduction is does sort of have some colour changes. The commentary suggests that the stitcher ran out of floss at some stage, so I see myself just randomly playing with these 3 colours. So that's going to be fun. So I've got Helen Halley, a Scottish sampler. So what is it? 1843 Scottish sampler, which is from Just Cross Stitch magazine, October 2019. I got this off of Redley. And it's a fun little sampler, although not as little as you think. And I've got a piece of 36 count cream and sugar from Fibre on a Whim. And I showed this a few weeks ago. I just did my own floss, pull my own floss from, this is all cotton, from Victorian Motto, Tom and Lily, yeah, and Needle Necessities. A couple of these I'm going to manipulate so I can get 2 shades of blue, and the greens I'm going to manipulate as well. It doesn't need a lot of green, so I'm going to use the lighter and darker and forget about the white. So that is just going to be fun. This is one where if I get some other options come in before I start it, I would switch out the greens because I just didn't have the right greens, but if that's all I have, it'll be fine. 10,000 Lakes by Caroline Manning designed, a signed chart that was a gift to me from Chris. Thank you again, Chris. And it's just, yeah, it's really pretty. It's the first tent maker that I have, tent maker design from Caroline Manning. Again, I won't be starting this until I've got to finish Sunset and Sunrise before I start the 2 Caroline Manning charts, this one and the Christmas one that I've got. This one I'm going to start in summer because, you know, you go swimming in the lakes in summer, and I'm going to stitch this on 18 count Ada in the Celadon green or sage green, and I've just got all the called for DMC, so that's ready to go. I just like stitching not on white, and if I decide to frame it with a little bit of border, I think that'll look really pretty. So that may not get started until summer. I'm going to have starts on the 1st of summer, both the meteorological and the astrological start. So one is like, the first of the month, and one is on the solstice, or the, what do you call it, the equinox. So each season will have 2 starts. So I've just written that down as a summer one. So probably, I don't know yet, but I've got to go through and pencil some of these in when I assign them to a day. This next one I'm very excited about. This is going to be my first start for 50 at 50. This will be my birthday start. The last 2 years I've started a nice big sampler, a special sampler on my birthday. And 2 years ago I started Quaker Seasons of Friendship on my birthday, which I've now got framed on my wall. You actually see it just up there above my bookshelf. It's all personalised with members of my extended but immediate family. Last year, 2021, I started the Red Deer sampler, which I finished, and that I want to get framed this year. My start for this year is going to be Come to the Garden by Teresa Kogut, and I freaking love this. I think it's beautiful, and I've got a piece of 40 count beige from Weeks Dye Works, which I think is perfect, like a perfect match. And I've pulled mostly the called for over dyes and DMC, because she has quite a lot of DMC. I think we don't have terribly much, which I appreciate, that you don't have to cut up 15 over dyes. But I've got a couple of subs. I've got Victorian Motto Very Prim Red is going to be used instead of Manor Red. It's the majority of the red in the chart. I've got a Victorian Motto Autumn Weave is going to be used instead of flax. And I think that's it. Yeah, everything else is called for. So yeah, 2 Victorian Mottos and called for, but it's pretty. And I just love these reds that are kind of these orangey bricky reds. Very excited about that. So I get to start that in 2 weeks. I have my birthday week off. So in 2 weeks I will have started it, and it makes me very happy. Next up is a chart that a friend Karen gave me. L is for lounging. Apologies, no, I don't apologise. You might see a bit of nudity, bums and boobs on my channel. As long as they're not mine, you should be fine with that. They're just cartoon representations. So she gifted me this. So yeah, L is for lounging. I'm going to stitch it on 32 count platinum, so I don't do white if I can help it, but it's pretty neutral. The called for DMC, which I just tipped upside down. Next up I've got 3 charts, and I will definitely start one. I don't know if I'll do all 3, we'll see how we go. I've got 3, my favourite 3 of the Bewitching Pixies. I intend to only do these 3, not all 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. Although I do like the newer ones with just the head. So, but I sort of feel like they're a different series, even though they're also called Bewitching Pixies. So we've got Eva, Gigi, and Anna. So those are my 3 favourite, and I'll just be stitching them with the cord for DMC. I've got all of the bits and pieces, all the beads and all that for all 3 of them, and I've got fabric for all 3 as well, which I've just gone with 32 count Vintage Country Mocha from Swagat, and I've got the pieces all cut already, even labelled, so I know which one goes which way. E.g. this one is Eva, she is longer, so that's where she goes. Gosh, I've even written down that I need to allow 2.5 inch border, so organised. I've got this one I'm showing you is kitted up now, but actually I'm probably going to start this. So Ruskin's Penguin, but it's here in the box. So this will be started at this stage on the 15th of January, so before my 50 at 50. So I'm starting this with some friends, and as per last time I showed it, I'm going to stitch it on 32 count Wintergreen from Country Stitch, and I've got 2 skeins of Gentle Arts wrought iron pulled for the black, and I've got a skein of Amandier from Tom and Lily for the white. If I don't quite have enough, which I should, but if I don't quite have enough, I can always sub in another white for the snowflakes or something. It won't really be noticeable. Another one I'm really excited about. I'm excited about like majority of these. A few that are like, I like it, but I'm not desperate to start. But honestly, I could start 40 of these today and be happy. Cliffside Stitches, pomegranate sampler. This mock-up will not be doing it justice because it's a digital mock-up, and I know from other digital charts I've done online they always look way better. This one I've pulled 36 count Aspen from Weeks Dye Works, so it's already going to look very different because it's going to grunge it up quite a bit. And I'm very excited about the flosses that I've pulled. So I've done my own conversion using over dyes. So I've got Victorian Motto and Tom and Lily. So I think when you see, I mean, honestly, I'm so excited about this colour palette. I mean, this red. Oh, Prim Valentine. I love that red. So yeah, it's going to look the bomb. So I need to look up when pomegranates typically come into season. I mean, they're a summer fruit, but you know, it might be another summer. Oh God, I don't want to wait till summer. Look, we're still in summer. Maybe I could do this as a late summer. That's right, this will be a late summer start. I don't want to wait till next summer. I'm writing that down. So we go from one extreme to the other where I totally kit it up with my own stuff to called for. Giovanni's Alphabet by Tempting Tangles. I freaking love this so much that I just want it exactly like the chart. Again, full of specialty stitches, so it's on 32 count. Country Mocha linen, it's called for. I have all but one of the called for threads. So I've got 3 skeins of Bejeweled as called for from Classic Colourworks, and then I've got most of the Glorianas, and we've got the beads, which I don't think you need that many, but I didn't have any matte beads at all. I am missing one, and I'm going to make a call out if anyone can help. It's been out of stock for months, so if anyone has access to, can find a skein of 187 Royal Plum. It's a Gloriana. They do provide a suggested alternative for dinky dye, which if and when I get to start this, I'm desperate enough that I'll sub it, but they are quite different. I sort of can't see anything online that's similar to 187 Royal Plum Gloriana, so if anyone sees that around, get in touch with me and we'll sort something out. But anyway, I mean, I'm not going to start it. I don't know when I'll start it. It kind of looks... there's a scene of like a man with a horn and it looks like it's the hunt. So I might have to look up when one typically goes on a hunt, or when Giovanni's birthday was. Next up is Modern Folk Embroidery, Leo and Roxy / Evertote collaboration, Rule of Life. I have the called for floss pack, which is for stitching on 40 count or 36 count. One strand, in other words. So 3 skeins of Vampish, 1 skein of Plum Shadow, and 1 skein of Caramel. And I have got 40 count Parchment by Country Stitch. So that's what that will be stitched on. It's lovely. Shouldn't be a massive stitch. Next up from Couleur Tourterelle is La Pendule d'Alexandre, the Alexander's Clock. And I've got this on 36 count Aspen from Weeks Dye Works with Holiday Red from Victoria Motto Sampler Shop. So just a nice little red sampler. Again, I always call this little because that looks little, but it's not actually that little. Moroccan sampler from Cliffside Stitches on Etsy. Again, another digital pattern that's gonna look better stitched. I am using the called for DMC. I think it's called for. Nope, I'm using my own DMC conversion. What did I change? I kind of just went a bit more rusty with it, I think. So I've got my own DMC conversion. Here's just the samples. I do have the skeins in here. And I'm going to stitch this on 36 count persimmon from Fibre on a Whim. So that's going to look cool. So I think I pulled the called for DMC and then I just went like a little bit dirtier with the tones. I've been to Morocco, so I know what the colours look like. So next up, I've got Jardin Privé Cat Lovers, and I've done a 3/4 conversion just because I felt like doing different colours. Went a bit more orangey with the pinks and a bit more purpley with the blues and a bit more bright with the greens. So what is this on? This is on 36 count cream and sugar from Fibre on a Whim. You'll find a lot of my fabrics end up in 2 projects because I cut it and measure and cut, and I get 2 projects out of a fat quarter in a lot of cases. There's my colour palette there. I think that's going to look quite pretty. Next up, we've got a couple of plum streets. I've got A Gentleman's Daughter, which you're probably familiar with, and I've got Victorian Motto 36 count sand with a partial conversion. So some of the colours like Deep Sea and Ruby Slippers are called for, and then a lot of them are pulled from Victorian Motto and other overdyes, a couple of DMCs as well. I think it's going to look pretty. So semi-companion piece is Miss Bingley's Library, another deceptively stitch heavy piece. This one I'm going to do on 36 count neutral from Victorian Motto, and again I have a partial conversion. So I think it's going to look pretty though. This one's definitely a bit more pink than the other one. Got a couple of pinks in there. Yeah. Next up is a little freebie kit that we got at one of the retreats last year. You Be Well from Shepherd's Bush. I'm just going to cover up the chart, and this one is kitted up I think with DMC and just a scrap of a neutral, probably 32 count. So that'll be a nice quick little one that I may find a fancy hoop to finish it in. Another chart I got from Readly. This is from Just Cross Stitch magazine, June 2016. It's finished as a little bag, but I'm just going to do it as a small, either a cushion or a flat fold. And it's a cute little one, and it's called Be Happy. I have got a scrap of 36 count Legacy. This is left over from when I did the Pilgrim. And I have got pretty much the called for. It has one fancy floss, which is gold leaf, and the rest is just DMC because you don't need much of it. So I've just pulled a few strands of every colour. Most of the time when I do this, I put 2 colours on each little ring that I make. So that'll be a nice quick little stitch. I do have some smalls. Next one is Kesslin's Cross Stitch Fun. That's the chart. I was inspired by the back with this coloured version. Also, you know, it reminds me of the sort of colour variation that I used for Quaker Seasons of Friendship. I have got a big piece of 40 count Copper Beech from Country Stitch, and I pulled my own conversion. I can't remember what I used for inspiration, but I've got silk and DMC. So there are 2 sorts of, in this version there are 2 sorts of tealy colours, a darker one and a medium one. The darker one is going to be silk It's for you, PR062. This was gifted to me from Barb. And then I've also got, for the lighter version, I've got a couple of skeins of DMC 4025, so one of the DMC variations. So I've got the darker and the lighter. And then I've just pulled, I've got a charcoal, 3799, DMC 3830, 608, and then 2 yellows, 741, 742. So it's a very Leigh palette. And on the Copper Beach, it's going to look pretty cool. Next up, we've got Lighting the Way. Yep, from Silver Creek Samplers. I love this one. And I've got a piece of Halloween Smoke, but slightly darker. Catherine darkened it up for me for the fabric. That's from Country Stitch. And I've got the Called For DMC. Oh, with the exception of the white, is I've got 2 skeins. It's called for whitewash, which I thought I had, but I've got 2 skeins of bamboo. So I think I might need 2 skeins. They are different dye lots, so I'll start with the. I will start with the whiter one for the lighthouse, and then I can, if I run out, I can use the other one for the house, the slightly creamier one for the house. But I think it'll be fine. Showed this one recently, Quaker Alphabet by Ladi Dar. I picked this chart and the floss up at the in Dunedin when I was here recently, end of October. And I just have a piece of 35 count vintage marble, so it's just one of the sort of printed fabrics from Zygarde. And the 2 flosses I picked up were just 2 on the wall that I just absolutely loved. Weeks Dye Works Navy and Fathom. They probably look very similar in this light, but in person they're quite different. So the chart, it called for a couple of Belsoir, I think, but there's a lighter blue and a darker blue. Another one I showed recently that I kitted up with called for DMC, or mostly called for DMC, the Blue Flower Butterfly Garden. This is stitched on a piece of 36 count Eccentric Sky from Fortnight Fabrics. And yeah, the called for DMC. It's charted primarily in, it's charted in Anchor and DMC, and it infers the Anchor's the model colour, but anyway, just lots of colours. It'll be a fun stitch. Next up, I've got May I from All Through the Night, which is going to be stitched on 40 count Midnight from Country Stitch, and probably going to regret this, but I'm going to give it a go. And the flosses are a melange of silk and cotton from my stash, all sorts of brands. Just going to be fun, have fun with it. If anything doesn't show up, like that's not going to show up on that fabric, maybe I'll find something else, but it does call for a dark brown. It is, you know, hard to see. It's for the branches of the tree, so hopefully, I mean, it's a garden in the night, I guess. I can't remember if I've shown this one in the past. Sur la route des Indes, on the road to India. It's from Isabelle Harcourt-Vautier, a French designer. I have a piece of 32 count light mocha, and I've got plenty of skeins because I'll be stitching with 2 strands, but plenty of skeins of PR178 from Silks For You. They spoke India to me, so I'm not doing it as red. This one, another Vautier chart, is Forest Dream, which I'm also not doing as a red sampler or red stitch. I've just got 42 count antique white, 40 count antique white, just a whole back quarter of it. But I've got this thread, I've got 3 skeins, which may not be enough, but they are 10 meters, and I will be only using 1 strand, and I do stitch conservatively. Got 3 skeins of gumboot from Cottage Garden Threads. So it comes like, this is their old packaging, I think. Yeah, because their new one has a QR code and a whole lot of information about it. Looks like that. So they dye so that it starts and ends with the same colour. It's already pre-cut. So when you stitch, you finish stitching at that end, you can carry on stitching with the nap the right way, and the thread just continues. So you get a nice box of colour. So I'm going to stitch her with that. I think it's going to look really nice. So yeah, 40 count antique knit for Forest Dream. She's quite big. Another one I'm really excited about, the threads that I pulled. Mary Jane Fry 1861 from Amanda Rowe, the Solitary Stitcher reproduction. This one I've pulled a no-name 36 count Victorian motto, just lovely dark neutral. And the threads that I've got are mostly Tom and Lily and just one classic colour works in Blackbird, but I'm excited about these colours. Again, I don't know, they're Leigh colours, right? So that's going to be fun. Should show you the chart with the colours. A simple palette. This one I've had kitted up for ages and I just haven't started it. I don't know. This one I got from Redley as well. It was over 3 or 4 editions, quarterly editions. It's from Sampler and Antique Needlework. The first part, I think, part 1 was summer 2015, so it went through summer, autumn, winter, and I think it went through all 4 seasons. I'm not sure though. And it's big, so it's a Violander sampler, 1816 Violander sampler. And I'm going to stitch this if I can see it. I can see it. It's just I've not stitched something so big on 45 counts. I've got 45 count that Catherine dyed for me in limestone just to take the bright white off of it. So it's a nice creamy colour. And I've got a spool of Weeks Dye Works Quilting Cotton 1233 Cocoa. The called for this design was a dark brown. I thought this might not be dark enough, but then, these samplers faded over time. I think it'll be fine. And then there's a tiny bit of red in it, so I've just pulled the red cotton that I used for the little red sampler I stitched on 60-ish count. And this is, I don't know. Oh no, this one's silk. I'm telling you a lie. It's Gutermann silk in S303, I think. So there's just tiny bit of red in the chart, which is quite common on these samplers, have a little bit of red, like one little motif or one little bit of satin stitch is in red. So just a weird little interest. I have to start it. I've had it kitted up for ages. This is a huge piece of fabric, like it's a custom cut. It's not, what is it? It's 30 by 20 inches for fabric, so almost a metre. Next up, I've got Stitching Spell from Stitching Spell on Etsy is Fractor 12. I love this. It's going to be so much fun. And I have a piece of 40 count corn straw from Country Stitch. And the call for DMC, which is, again, a very Leigh palette. I love it. So that's going to be fun, so can't wait to start that. Next up is a chart gifted to me by Zeb, the Hutt sampler. I don't want to take it out of the bag. For this, I've pulled a piece of 36 count neutral from Victorian Motto. Keeping it really simple. And I've got 2 shades of tealy green. I'll be probably doing the internal motifs and this sort of bit here where my initials will be in one shade, the darker shade, and the lighter shade will be the rest of it, the borders and the alphabet and stuff, I think. But they're really similar. I like the idea that they look like they might have, like the dye-light might have changed. There are 2 silks for you. This one is the bluer one is PR021, and the slightly greener version is again from Barb, that floss you gifted me, PR062. So very excited about starting. I'm excited about starting all of them. I did say it's been hard not starting most of these, and it's going to be hard because we're only in week 1. It's a long time for the end of the year. And another one that I've pulled all my own flosses is the Peacock Keeper by Lindy Stitches, which is sort of fun, but I was wanting to make those fuchsias at the top look more like fuchsias. So my colour palette's a little bit wacky. It might change because I'm not convinced I've got it 100% right. But I'm doing this one on 36 count rose petals. It was from Country Stitch, some fabric that I got as a mystery kit. And I've pulled my own flosses, and I've got a combination of DMC, Silks for You, Tom and Lily, I think that's it. So yeah, silk, cotton, DMC, over dyes. But it's pretty. So less, I guess more corally and more corally than they're called for, more fuchsia-y. So the fuchsias are gonna be this purple and this red. That's how I remember what fuchsias look like. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. I've got kitted up, I've done one of these, I've got the other 3 Bella portraits. So I've showed in my 2021 floss finish parade, I finished Bella B. Next up I'll probably do Bella Butterfly. Then I've got Bella Rose and Bella Hydrangea. I don't know if I'll do all 4 of these. I may even just start this one tonight and get it stitched this week, you know. I don't know if these will be, these are kind of little gap filler ones, but I've got them all. I've got all the bits and pieces all stitched on call for on 32 count white linen. This is a project I was gonna start back in September, and then I decided I just wasn't in the mood for it. So it's still in there under the big ass project. The BAP category is Antique Cross Stitch from Anastasia Alex, or Antique Stitch off of Etsy. I think these are charted from, a lot of these are charted from Lace Patterns. Sampler Peacock Garden, and it's ginormous. And I've got a blanket of 45 count white linen. I've just kept this one white. And I've got some Gutermann silk, in, what's this one? Oh, 303 must be the number. Oh, 339, 869, and 107. It's massive and it's going to take ages. It'll be a long-term project, but I should really get it started this year coming. And my last almost kitted up project, I'm going to put to a vote based on the comments. I have Panoply of Peacocks. It's hard to say. Panoply of Peacocks by Tempting Tangles. And I have got 40 count Silver Fern by Country Stitch. And I've pulled from my stash 2 colourways. I've got cotton and I've got silk. If you're interested in voting for cotton, put cotton in your comment, and for silk, put silk, and I will stitch with the majority comment. I like them both, so I couldn't decide. Here's the cotton colourway, which is all Victorian Motto and Tom and Lily. So there is the cotton colourway. I'll show you the chart as well. So a little bit different. The lavender's a bit lighter. The teal is the aqua's a bit brighter. This is a little bit yellower than called for, but so it's cotton. And the silk colourway is all silks for you. Silk is probably closer to the called for, although this is a little bit greener. Again, the turquoise is a bit brighter. This is a bit greener than the called for. So here we go. Cotton, silk. Which one do you want me to stitch that in? So this is for Panoply of Peacocks from Tempting Tangles, cotton, silk, and I will stitch whichever gets the majority votes. So that's it. We've come to the end of my What's in the Box kit parade. Everything gets kitted up. As I said earlier, I've got 10 or 20 charts that I'm waiting on fabric and or floss still to be kitted up. So that box will continue to grow over time, but hopefully not at the same rate it has this year. I don't really want 200 kits. I better get stitching, right? So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. It was a lot. I think I mentioned all the fabric. I know that I've shoved stuff in plastic bags and thrown them on the floor, and found cards and fabric and floss still on the bench, on the table. So I will tidy them up and marry things up. But also as I do that, I'm going to go through and start allocating dates for some of them, and then the rest of them will be as and when we'll engage with you guys around when I might start things, or I may be motivated by what else is going on in the community. So that's it. What's next? I'm going to kit up, or start kitting up, pull some flosses for the Jeanette Douglas sale, 2022 sale. Go to her website, Jeanette Douglas Designs, if you want to know what that's about. It's a bunch of little freebies or exclusive designs that were provided for classes or retreats or workshops, etc., that she decided need to be shared wider. So there are 12. We're going to have a monthly little bouquet of flowers. One of them you might have seen, it was released in 2020 as one of the Be Well and Stitch ones. I've already stitched it on Ada, but I'll be stitching this one on some linen. And she released a border. Everything you download from her website, so you just need to keep an eye on her website every month, and the charts will be released there. So I'm going to start stitching the border, so that will be a not 50 at 50 start. I'm going to start Ruskin's Penguins on the 15th. Other than that, it's all free for all. So I'll see you in the next one. As always, don't let your needles rust. Ciao.